I'm a prosecutor and said, yeah, it looks like there's something here. Is that not what happened?
Yeah, but I mean, you can indict a ham sandwich. I mean, I can have a grand jury go in there and say that Bakari Sellers is the next Denzel Washington. I mean, that is just the way the process
I don't think you could find a grand jury that would do that.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. On Thursday's State of the Union with Jake Tapper, Scott Jennings once again found himself outnumbered by a panel desperate to spin the James Comey indictment as proof that Donald Trump is somehow weaponizing the Justice Department. Per usual, Scott Jennings laid out the facts and showed exactly why Americans aren't buying CNN's BS. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings dismantle the tired narrative they've been milking since Comey's indictment and see why his CNN colleagues piss their pants every time he walks in the room. Let's go.
Bakari, is the government, it never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents, President Trump said when he was inaugurated. Is he keeping his word?
I think most Americans would agree. I mean, that weaponization is now the central focus of the Department of Justice. It's not keeping us safe. It's not keeping Americans safe. It's not going after or prosecuting drug traffickers or all these other things. It's literally an arm of Donald Trump prosecuting his enemies. And not only that, but we can see what happened in Virginia in the Comey case, because he had someone who did not find probable cause. He literally got rid of his own U.S. attorney and put somebody who, I mean, is just simply inept and unqualified to actually have that job. We've talked about DEI hires forever, but she is so inept and so unqualified to be the U.S. attorney. Then now you're going to have a case that's probably going to fall apart against Comey, but the question is who's next? And that's what he's using the Department of Justice for.
Well, she was apt and qualified enough to get a grand jury to look at the evidence and return 2 charges against him. Are you saying that this process, which is used all over the country every single day to bring crimes all over the code, is somehow broken? These are ordinary citizens in a liberal jurisdiction who looked at evidence from a prosecutor and said, yeah, it looks like there's something here. Is that not what happened?
Yeah, but I mean, you can indict a ham sandwich. I mean, I can have a grand jury go in there and say that Bakari Sellers is the next Denzel Washington. I mean, that is just the way the process
I don't think you
works.
could find a grand jury that would do that.
So let's just bring up this graphic here of Trump retaliation. Here are just some of Trump's political opponents. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted. The New York Attorney General Letitia James is under investigation. Senator Adam Schiff under investigation. Former Special Counsel Jack Smith under investigation. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton under investigation, and we do expect there will be charges filed. Retired General Mark Milley under investigation. Former CIA Director John Brennan under investigation. Former CISA Director Chris Krebs under investigation. Former DHS official Miles Taylor under investigation.
Look, I mean, this is what Donald Trump said he was going to do during the campaign. He said, I am retribution. He was very clear this is what he was going to do. And I think it's actually Republican willingness to normalize, cover for, apologize for this behavior. I was listening to you interview Speaker Johnson, and it's just striking to watch congressional Republicans essentially say that the President of the United States going on social media and directing a U.S. attorney to indict a political opponent after previous efforts to do so fell short through an IG report that found no wrongdoing, through prosecutors in the district who said that there was not sufficient evidence to bring the case. So watching somebody like Speaker Johnson normalize that, it sends us down an incredibly dangerous path. And I do think the other thing I would say just quickly to Kristen's point, or to piggyback on what Kristen was saying, I do think there's actually also an opportunity cost here with voters for Trump. People voted for him in huge part to bring costs down. The more they watch him focus on personal retribution, yes, it motivates his base. Yes, it motivates the Democratic base. But for these voters in the middle who are looking for their cost of living to come down, for their lives to be better, they say, why are you not focused on what matters to me?
I'm stunned to hear you say we're now worried about normalizing this kind of thing. We had an attorney.
You are about to do right now. Let's hear it.
I'm about to tell you what happened in the state of New York when the Democratic Attorney General ran an entire political campaign promising not to uphold justice, but to prosecute one person, Donald Trump. And I didn't hear a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth among Democrats about normalizing the weaponization of justice. That chart you put up there, my question is, do they deserve it? If they didn't do anything wrong, I'm not certain anything bad's going to happen to them. Bolton, that started under Joe Biden. James, I mean, these people that you put on the screen, they may have something that needs to be looked at. But don't you have trust in the processes, grand juries, This is how the system works, and I don't have any. And Jim Comey, he's going
But
to go to trial.
I think it's the abuse.
Why does it seem like half the segments I start out with, this is so stupid? That's what I was just about to say. Everyone on that panel keeps saying Donald Trump ran on not weaponizing government, but now he's supposedly doing it. They describe him as going after his enemies, but never once in all these conversations, they've spent a lot of time on this, never once did they stop and ask the obvious question, are these people guilty of crimes? Letitia James literally, not figuratively, ran on locking up Donald Trump. Adam Schiff, this would be a 4-hour video if I listed all the times he's lied to the American people. There's no question James Comey abused his power. Jack Smith, John Bolton, Mark Milley, everyone on that list they showed. These are people with very real allegations hanging over them. I mean, what does CNN want out of all this coverage of this non-story? I mean, are they saying none of these deserve investigation? What is this? And who cares what Trump personally thinks about someone? The question is, did that person break the law? If yes, investigate. If no, nothing will happen. And I think we talked about this yesterday. Between Trump having an opinion and someone actually being convicted, there are a lot of layers. Prosecutors, grand juries, trials. Every time Scott brings that up, CNN tries to just kind of skip over it because it ruins their narrative. There's really no argument when you take those factors into consideration. Back to it.
Get a day in court in front of a
the
jury
abuse
of
of the system. And what we're talking about is the abuse of the system.
What if abuse being the idea of prosecuting people when Democrats were going after Trump? Were you worried about abuse?
Because I firmly believe that Donald Trump broke the law and he was indicted.
Do you think the 34 charges that are cited all the time were good charges?
But let me just say this. I mean, you just sat here and talked about the process. You gave me a lecture about the grand jury system. Well, Donald Trump actually went to trial and got convicted.
Correct.
That is the process he went through. And let me just explain to you the difference in the abuse and the difference in departments of justice. I mean, we can go all the way back to Republicans having a fit when JFK tried to nominate RFK, his brother, to be Attorney General. But I can actually go back to Joe Biden. Joe Biden indicted his own son. Did he deserve to be indicted? Yes. But he indicted his own son.
You're saying that. You're saying the White House was
don't know
directing.
that
You're saying the White House was directing indictments.
But
You're saying they were directing indictments. That's a
Let's
revelation.
have one person speak at a time. What were you just saying?
Yeah, he did pardon him, and I think it does then that really sets forth this notion that there is this two-tiered system of justice in this country where the wealthy, the powerful, the connected have tended to be able to get away with doing things that they shouldn't have done. Now, that's not to say that in this case, what Jim Comey did was definitely bad. That this all needs to be sussed out in the courts, but there's been a lot of folks in Donald Trump's orbit who have been pursued, have gone to prison, and you may say, well, look, they did something wrong, they deserved it. That's all that Republicans are saying now, which is why this is feeling like a bit of a wash, at least in some of the data.
You know, in the first clip we watched, Bakari Sellers said something to the effect of, well, now that Comey's indicted, the case will probably fall apart. The question is, who's next? But if he's right, and the case does fall apart, doesn't that prove Trump isn't controlling outcomes? If indictments are so easy and cases collapse anyway, that shows the system itself, grand juries, jurors, evidence, decides guilt or innocence, not Donald Trump. What about this? When the left was weaponizing government against Trump for years, I promise you I remember this vividly. CNN wouldn't even say the phrase. I genuinely think there was some directive from above that said, act like weaponization of the DOJ is just a conspiracy theory. I mean, they would rarely use that term because they wanted it to go away. But now, when Trump's going after people who at least appear guilty, suddenly they're clutching pearls about norms. Scott hit the nail on the head when he said, where was this outrage when Letitia James campaigned on jailing a single man? I mean, if we're calling it retribution now, then logically it was retribution then too, right? I really mean it when I call this thing a non-story. This isn't complicated. Trump isn't doing anything new. He's just being honest about it. And yes, after years of being dragged through sham investigations, he wants accountability. That's not abuse of power. That's a normal human response after what he's been through. CNN wants you to believe America should protect the powerful from scrutiny as long as they're anti-Trump. But accountability shouldn't be selective. So what do you guys think? Am I just a crazy, biased ideologue? Is Trump really weaponizing the DOJ and I'm just not seeing it? Or is he just shining a light on people who've been untouchable for years? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. Listen to this. I don't know how I stumble on these things. Again, not even looking for this. I found a freaking YouTube channel, and I've told you guys, I think there's 7 different channels I found, maybe 8, that rip off my content 100% and like kind of filter it through AI voice and use my same clips, everything. It's a pain in the butt to get them taken down and all that stuff. But this channel I found today, the guy literally reads my freaking script word for word, has a similar setup to mine. How insane is that? And every single one of his videos is a ripoff of mine. And he's got like 1,000 subs after like 8 videos. One of the videos has, I think, a couple 100,000 views. It has more than the original one that I posted. I hope you guys don't think I'm bitching. I just thought you'd think this was funny or just crazy. I mean, have you guys ever heard of this? Just like literally ripping off word for word somebody else's content in the political space. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could see it in something. I don't. Anyway, but because I'm such a great guy, I'm just going to submit the copyright takedown request, and hopefully that takes care of it. But I'm not looking to put people on blast. You guys know that's not me. But if you're not subscribed, come on, that's a class move. You'd be frustrated if you were in my position. Can't you say, well, you know what? It's crazy. This guy's getting views off his videos. Boy, if I subscribed, it might help him out a little bit. Come on, that's a fair request, right? But let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of you that probably know more than I do about YouTube or know people who are creators. Let me know if any of you have ever heard in like the political niche of someone just ripping off, like, I mean, the visuals, the words, everything word for word, and just putting these videos out there. I guess I'm just curious if you're like, yeah, it happens all the time, man. Or if you guys are like, yeah, that's insane. Because I think it's insane. So anyway, you had enough of me talking about that yet? Other than that little anecdote, I don't have anything else for you today. So always, always, always put God first. I'll see you guys.